What is going on, good people? Happy Monday. Welcome back. New stream. reboot for the server. I'm hoping you guys had a phenomenal weekend. We got some moves going on for ETH, got some moves going on for BTC, and I'm also tracking some alts River. I'm going to be going over that with you guys here momentarily. All full setups are inside of the server, so if you want a full in context breakdown as far as what those look like, feel free to check out the link description where the server is inside there, where you have full access, free server to you and your friends. More than welcome to be there. Let's dive right into the charts. Let's open this up. All right, just one moment, guys. So ETH has some moves to the downside. In short, I'm really looking at this area right over here. That's the zone that I'm looking for. I want to see that area get filled, and then I can make my assessment if we're going to be moving back up to retest a little bit higher. We did short from like 1960s, 1930s all of last week. Some pretty good holds, some good TPs already taken thus so far inside that area. The main TP for me was a heavier TP was once this level was taken out, which was wave C for this cipher pattern. That's the cipher pattern that you see right over here. So there's a couple different ways that I can look at this. I can look at this as, a very large wave 1 that's occurring here, where it essentially completed at a wave C. I just don't have confirmation that wave C has been completed. So that's why I was kind of looking at this area right over here, the 1804, for a wave C completion. In the event that I'm, incorrect and saying, okay, well, saying we're probably going to be going a little bit higher, and I'm going to be looking for, 88% of this move from this swing point right over here to the top over here. So kind of utilizing all this as a 1, then I'll get a 2, and then I'll get my 3. I'm of the mindset that I believe that ETH would test a little bit lower, especially inside the month of August. If we come over to the monthly, our falling 3 pattern that we were looking at really didn't play out the way that we wanted to. I really wanted to see it occur on this session, but let's go 4 back. Let's just go ahead and count that. We'll move this for right now. Let's just move our little honeypot bear over. Let's go 1, 2, 3, 4. Still puts us in that 1705 area. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. See, this area I've been kind of eyeballing for some time now. It's this zone right over here. And if we can get 1705 inside the month of August and hold that area, that's extremely bullish. And then we would move a lot higher. As of right now, if it decides to continue to move up in the early parts of August, then, we're looking at somewhere inside of these areas first, and even potentially a sweep of that high. This area right over here, the 2098, still puts it inside of that bearish retest structure. So that is not off the table for us. It's just all a matter of finding out how the lower time frames are going to react first. So this is why I'm utilizing like 4 hours and 1 hour, things of that nature. Let's go over to BTC real quick. See how BTC is developing. Very similar to ETH, right? Like almost identical structures, if you will. ETH finally caught up to BTC, because for a minute there, BTC was kind of making its move down, but ETH was holding itself together. So we could actually look at this as all of this, to be honest with you. Now that I'm looking at it, we can look at all of this as a 1, and then there's a potential for a 2, because we have all this space over here that we need to start clearing out, and then we'll get our 3 somewhere over there. Let's look at some sessions. Let's see what the sessions are looking like right now. Let's map out some sessions. Let's go to, there's 30. Yeah, so basically blew right past that session. Yeah, with no retest yet. So in the event that we start trekking and going a little bit higher, let's say that we are inside of that wave 2 and we're forming that wave 2, then I would want to see this area hold itself. 62,915 can hold itself, then yes, probabilities of moving higher are probably going to be greater than 50%. One thing I was looking at was River. It's kind of been my focal point for the day. I really like this. I like this setup for a River. I want to see that this maintains, but the problem that we see right now already is it's got very thin liquidity right over here. So the likelihood that we revisit that area pretty high. If I can get above into this level, let's just say this just decides to get up into this zone right over here, and I'm looking for like an 80% retracement. That's on a lower time frame. All right, but if I come over to a daily, I got a slightly different viewpoint. It's a little bit more bullish. Let's go ahead and open this up. This is for River. All right, so this would be like long term. This would be a long term. Like if it holds this area, I think we'll still revisit this, the sub 3 area inside the zone. But the way that I'm kind of structuring this is I'm looking at roughly around like an 88% retracement of this move, from this move over here down to here. So then this becomes my internal structure. So essentially I'm looking for like an 88%, 76% retracement to the upside. And then we'll have a retracement to the downside, very similar, 80% inside that zone. And if this area holds, then we're going to go into threes. But you can see how long it's going to take. This I have designated, this will probably take us until like October of this year, then have another retracement back down before the year's out. And then going into next year, let's say by March of next year, we'll start getting back into these zones. I'm not targeting for like all-time highs or anything like that. Not just yet, right? I really want to see what occurs here. This is going to be the main catalyst for me as far as how we get to this zone. You can see the wider from the inception of fib levels that I'm utilizing. This is from Pico top to Pico bottom. All right, so we're looking at these structures inside here. So I'm looking for some confluence that sits inside this zone. The retracement was 99.91%, not a normal fib zone for us, but just kind of illustrating how much it retraced. So it's retraced basically 100% of its move. So that's just for River. Let's pop over to USDT real quick. Yeah, I'll zoom out on USDT a little bit. There was a 9 failure that sat right inside the zone. I don't know why that's doing that. Just take that off. I gotta fix that later. Where's the 9 failure? Well, it's not printing now because I got new 9 sequences, but there was a 9 failure that sat right over here inside this zone. So essentially these moves cleared that area. They cleared that area. So if this thing decides to go parabolic, which USDT has the habit of doing that, yeah, this is kind of where it puts us. Let's go to daily. I think I got this on daily. Yeah, there it is. There it is. There's a 9 failure. That's the 9 failure I was referring to. See, this price action came down lower than that 9. So technically it did clear it inside that zone. Ideally, I'd like to see a sweep of this area. That's really what I would be looking for. But you can't be too picky here. So now that we have that balance that's completed there in that area, I think it's going to start to try to clear some of this zone right over here. And then this would become a real decision maker. You know, everyone that's going to try to long on ETH or BTC when USDT is here in this area, and then you just see an up thrust that would just take everybody out. Bear market's almost done. It definitely is almost done, without a doubt. Just got to, honestly, just got to be really, really, really patient here, especially going into the opening of the month. Wait for that to develop. As a matter of fact, let's look at the monthly. Well, let's go back. 1, 2, 3, 4. You'd have to climb all the way up to 2251 to change that setup phase. So going into next month, that'd be 1, 2, 3, 4. That's a lot easier to clear. That's 2000s. We got pretty close. I believe we got to like 1970 something, right? 1976. So that's an easier stretch. So the reason I'm pointing that out is because I believe that August would still come and try to test some of these areas down in these levels at some point. As a matter of fact, let's just go ahead and take 50% of that. Let's see what a 50% of that would look like, just so we have that for reference. So 1765. 1765 inside the month of August is extremely bullish. Where does that put us? That puts us right inside this area, right below that TP level that I had from earlier, which is 1780. There's a pivot point that sits right here. So I don't have any common fib levels that sit there, but I do have a fib level from the higher time frame monthly that sits right here in this area. So if we can build some demand inside this zone right over here, draw a box out on that. That would be ideal. If we can hold that. Like that's the bullish point of view for that. I don't need this right now. I actually don't need this either. Remember, we have a clean breakout from this wedge. Theoretically, it should put us here. Right, so that's if we lose this level right over here. As a matter of fact, let's go ahead and put on a volume profile. So 1765 puts us inside these shelves. You can see where there's a lot of volume inside that area. There's quite a few little bit of clusters that sit all inside this zone right here. Right, and there's a small little gap right here. That's what that green box is. If that green box gets filled in and holds, then yeah, that's extremely bullish. But we lose this level right over here. We lose this shelf. It's a gap, right? Then boom, you get into the 1600s. And if we really drill down here on a 4 hour and we look right over here, there's very, very, very thin liquidity there that sits inside that zone. And if we look at the profile, see there's a gap that sits inside that. So again, if we lose, there we go. Let's do that one more time. Don't need you. Don't need you. And let's put our profile back on. Yeah, we lose this level right over here. There's not much to catch it until we get into like these zones. I mean, you got some volume that sits here. I think it would fight. But look at this gap that sits right inside this area. And then you got your POC that sits right below that, right here. Any fair value gaps that sit in that zone? You got 2 fair value gaps that sit here. One there and one here. And I don't believe either one of them have been tested. Actually, this one has somewhat been tested. Yeah, this one hasn't been tested at all. So that's where we're at. That's what we're doing. I can fix that in a second. Just throw a little pull up for you guys if you bullish or bearish. Let me fix something on my side. Hang on, guys. Go back to that now. Sorry, but I had to change some of my lighting. You long silver, it's going well, that's what's up. I'm not gonna lie, I got a little bit of an obsession with River right now. I don't know why it keeps doing that. River's definitely going to come back and revisit this. There's a shaved bottom here. Yeah, there's a shaved bottom right there. It most likely probably going to come up to this wave B, this area right here, and then come back and down and fill that. Setup for this was placed inside of the alts corner yesterday. You know, we have a couple different updates inside of the server as far as making it a little bit cleaner for everybody, for BTC, ETH, and then of course alts that are in there. And then we have some channels that are for discussion that are in there. We've opened up all the education for everybody. So all the tutorial videos on the indicators that we utilize, all of the education as far as setups and strategies, from Elliott waves to candle analysis to liquidity sweeps, price action trading, smart money concepts, like you name it. All that stuff has been opened up to you guys. You guys have access to it, including the library as well too. So before, we had a VIP section where this was more exclusive for it, but essentially the entire server is exclusive in that regard. So therefore all this information is now open up to you guys. So if you're lost in the sauce and you need a little bit more study material, all of it is there for you guys 100% free. And keep in mind, we still do have the library as well too. In the library, you have access to hundreds and hundreds of different types of strategies that you can read up on and educate yourself on it at your own pace. Is River the new beat? Bro, I don't know. I mean, Rivers, I mean, it's retraced like 90%. So, you know what I mean? It's like, it's got to have some type of relief. I don't think, you know, going to like new all-time highs or anything like that. But yeah, let's actually look at Beat. Beat had a nice little run and then retraced. What did Beat do? Yeah, Beat ran all the way up to 336. And now it's retracing back down. Yeah, what is Clo doing? I haven't touched Clo just yet. Yeah, see, it's moving sideways. I'm waiting for Clo to have one more boop, little drop. I want to see it like kind of get back into these areas. Yeah, see, there's a lot going on over here in this area. All through here. So I'm curious to see what happens. And Clo can perform too. Don't get it twisted. Clo can definitely perform. Yeah, fat done. That one just completely died on me. But I already took TP on that one when I had entered on that one. I got out of it. You know what was going crazy on my alarms? Where is it? Where's hype? Where's hype? Yeah, I had 52. Bounce right around that area. It's just a matter where this 4 goes before it gets back down to here. I think the swings will come from this area right over here, like 37 and some change. You can see here, just quick eyeballing it, right? There's very thin liquidity that sits right there. And what is that? 38 and some change. Yes, I have a feeling we would revisit that area. Not quite there yet. Still waiting for this thing. Still waiting for grass to come back down. I'm gonna look at Ondo the other day. Yeah, Ondo is kind of similar to River in regards to how much it's retraced. Yeah, it needs a little push. I think this though is going to come back down, yeah. Sol, still waiting for Sol to come back down. I think if you're already positioned on shorts, you know, I think it's more of either, you know, taking some small TPs here and there just to, you know, cover your time while you've been in the trade. I'm not looking for ads on my shorts. To combat that, essentially, I'm looking at some alts that I could long from, right? That have taken an absolute beating inside the month of July. I think River's one of those. I think River's definitely one of those, especially from the 26th towards the end of the month. I think just got hammered. And let's go into July. Yeah, so this is July right here. Yeah, that's July. I can actually measure a fib from there if I wanted to. But that was July. I think I had that marked earlier. I'm just kind of playing around with this idea, seeing if it gets like an ascending broadening wedge. That's really what I'm looking at. That's where you see these blue lines right over here. I don't know what this one is for. I think you're on my 144. Yeah, you're on my 144. We shall see. Let me get some coffee. Be right back. Oh, good old coffee in the morning. Good old coffee in the morning. Now, of course, if you guys have questions, always feel free to drop them inside the chat. Happy to answer them for you as much as I can. If there's a coin that you want to take a look at, let me know as well too. I'll throw it into the mix. See if I can help you out in any way. Really nice, man. If it just came and cleared some of this fair value gap, I would love to see a 1 over here. Does that line up? I think my 1's a little bit higher. Oh, I know my 1's a little bit higher. Yeah, my 1's much higher. I got it at 1 out of 7. Bare minimum, like at a 5. That's from a daily. That's if I can get there. That would take me to here. Yeah, that won't come for a while. Short term, probably get something like this. Maybe if I can get that this week, that'd be a blessing. If we can get something like this filled, that'd be ideal. I would suspect, you know, obviously if we come to this level, there's some support area here, no support. So essentially we have like this little box that sits right here. Right. So if we can get into that and then make our way down, then I would adjust my daily for wave 1 already being in, and then I'd go from there. What did we say on 15 minute? Oh, that was on BTC. We were doing that on BTC. I don't think I marked off ETH's 15-minute sessions. I think you're right here, right? Yeah. Yeah, you're right there. And where's your high? Right there. Oh, technically, I already did test it. Technically, it did. It held. Definitely, I wouldn't re-long that, because it already tested it once. So like if it comes back down and sits in this area, you might get one of those, but it could also just doop. Yeah, you can see the shells out. See, it just cleared some of this gap. So notice that what I was mentioning earlier for like BTC and even for ETH earlier, when I was looking at it on a 4-hour time frame, there were some gaps that were sitting in this area. Just using this as an example here, you can see the gaps that it started to try to fill in, and it rejected off of those. Right, so build in this gap right in here. Now it's in this like little quasi type of range from this shelf to this shelf. Right, and now currently rejecting off of this shelf right here, heavy volume that sits in that area. Low volumes here. A lot of manipulation moves that are sitting in that area. Anybody watching new Spider-Man yet? Yes, no, maybe so. So we took out London. That's your PM session. That was from last week, right? Oh no, that was Saturday, excuse me. Yeah, if we can take out these two levels, that would be ideal. Still looking at this area, 1804. So if I can take out this, and I can take out this. That would be the move that I'm looking for. That's really what I have me looking for longs right now, short-term longs. As a matter of fact, there's some liquidity. Look at the liquidity. I think I was looking at it earlier. I think I have 1909, 1906 for ETH on a 1 hour, 4 hour. It's for the cipher. Actually, let's just go to it real quick. What is it? 1909. Yeah, so it's 1909. Yeah, so there's a little pocket. We get to 1901, breach that area, it's just gonna boom into 1913. You got some a little bit more liquidity there. What's to the downside? 65. A lot of heavy leverage that sits here. See, there's more heavy leverage that sits inside these zones. So, you know, we sweep 1849. Look at that 1803 right there. Way more to the upside. 1899. 247 million that's it there. The upside here, 1938. Yeah, boy oh boy. Yeah, they kind of reclaim 1900s. We'll definitely be revisiting 1938. I mean, that's the most makes sense area. That's what it's going to be most attractive, because you got this gap that sits right in between it, from 1899 all the way up to 1944ish. Which, if I do that now, let's take a look at that. Let's just play devil's advocate here. Let's say this was my C. It was a flat C. Flat C. So I would take, I don't really need these right now, to be honest with you. I think I was using that from a previous stream in our server as an example. All right, so break that trend line, let that trend line become liquidity. Let's go with a 2. You know what? Is that where it's breaking against right now? Yeah. Are you breaking against 0.5? Yeah, you are. But that's not a wave 2. I know it's not. 618. Nah, I'd probably take that. That's 1919. There's liquidity that sits there. 764. Now we start looking at some areas. So ABC completed. Then let's say that's a 1. And then we get a 2. Invalidation would be sweeping above here. So the bearish count that I'm speculating here, it'd be invalid if we sweep above here. So let's just go 88, see what that looks like. Maybe you're stretched out, right? Test the bottom of that trend line. Let's look at it from there. And then you'd get your 3. What would 3 look like? Seems kind of light. See, this level right here clears this right over here, brings us right back into this demand area. The problem for that is that if that's a true 3, and we'll know based on the characteristics of it, like if it starts impulsing down, then you'll know that you're for sure inside of a 3. Or your C's not done, however you want to label that. But if we go to the upside first, then your C was already done. Right, so if we move up to this area first, before continuing down here, then this C was done. And then essentially we're looking for that 2. For the wave 2. That's what we'd be looking for. But if this continues down, let's say maybe gets here. I mean, because these are still on the table. That's for a zigzag. These are still flat levels. So I need to hold this zone right over here. If I lose that area, then I'm looking at something right over there. Yeah, but the issue is if that is what occurs, and we could move up to the upside first, and then we move down. While this may seem like it's bullish, it's going to be short term because we'll probably get a 4. Somewhere right over here in this area. And it could be flat. Let me just not speculate. Let me see what the math looks like on that, but that is the case. Then that would be flat. Then you'd be flat, probably testing that trend line again, and then you get your 5 most likely sweeping that area. Maybe a double bottom. You better pray and hope it's a double bottom. It would still be a 5 completion. It would still be good. It'd still be good. Okay, but we don't know yet, so let's just wait. That's all. These are bullish retest levels. All these little fibs right here. Yeah, those are your bullish retest levels for the month of August. Because if I lose 1804, yeah, what's my first one though? So I got 1715 at 618. And then I have a 2.24 that sits around 1709. So there's some confluence that sits there from monthly to a 4 hour. But bro, I still have this gap. I still have this gap. Right. I still have this gap. That's pretty wide, man. That's pretty wide. Like I said, I'm still looking to see if I can long 1804. Like, that's not going to change for me, right? Because if I can get a little relief rally back into, you know, 1930s, 1940s inside that area, then it'll be another opportunity for a short. In the event that it continues to push up higher, then I'd rather be positioned and wrong in that sense. But there's just so much that's going on right over here. And when we look back at that monthly, 1652, 1602. Yeah, that puts us all up in here. Is it the bottom of that? Yeah, look at that. That's the bottom of this bad boy right here. And that's a 7.6. Yeah, that's a 7.6. No, I'm sorry. That's a lot. That's an 88. It's an 88. Can I find a larger pattern of that? I think I've done this like so many times already, but I'm gonna do it again just for good measure. See that you'd be too small. You'd have to be 1, 2, 3, and then 4. You'd have to derive from here. I wonder if I have a pivot there. I don't have a pivot there. I have a pivot here. It's you. It's kind of Aki. And what are you breaking against? Oh, you're trying to hold a B. That's one way of looking at it. The bears ABCD. Okay, ABCD. Yeah, I don't have any full move there. No matter what, it still points me down because I don't have all the pivots. So, you know, that don't look like that works. That might work. See, that's that have to be long. I think I have a pivot to the downside, right? Oh, I do. Over here. Okay. So let's make the assumption, let's say C wasn't done, C comes down to somewhere around here, which would make sense. And then we'll get our 88% somewhere around here, and then we'll come down. Man, that's going to be a painful round trip. See, I like to utilize, I like utilizing harmonics because they're reversal patterns. So when I'm starting to structure it, at least theorize, you know, where it could potentially pivot or potentially move, I try to see if I have like geometrical shapes that go with it, like if it makes sense. What I mean by that is, you know, something like this, let's, you know, we're playing devil's advocate. Let's say we're saying, okay, what if that was wave B right over here, right? Which would have been wave C, wave B for the harmonic. And that puts us here, but this doesn't make too much sense because how long this is. So then I would need to move this up. It still puts me inside of this region or the PRZ, the price reversal zone. And there's just so much data over here. You know what I mean? Like if I'm gonna go higher, if I'm gonna, you know, if I bottomed out, whatever, if all of those things come to fruition, then I really want to utilize the larger pattern setup. That's a 4 hour, okay. So let's zoom out here for a second. This is the 1 hour cipher. I don't know what you are. I don't know what you are. I'm just gonna hide you for now. I know what you are. Yeah, that's the only thing that makes sense here. Let's zoom out a little bit. Almost identical to River, but like let's see, that's too elongated. That's too long. So there's a possibility that could have been it right there. Possible. How do I get over here? How do I stretch it over here? Okay, let's take that out for a second. It's the same thing here. Okay. Trying to see if there's a PRZ that would actually put me over here. That's what I'm looking for. Excuse me. 1, 2. Yeah, that's the only thing that makes sense. 1, 2, 3, 4. I gotta get back over here for that to make sense. I mean, I would still utilize this, but it puts me back inside of the entry level zone, which would mean the PRZ is holding. What do I have there? What do I have there? A gap filled, and then there's the sweep there. I want to look at it on a unique time frame here. I want to see if I can see it a little bit clearer. And what did I say for those levels? So let's say 1602. If that was the bottom, 1602, that puts me right here. But that kind of does make sense, eh? Hold up. Hold up. Let's open that up. So they held the intent, which is 1551. So intent was held twice. There's thin liquidity there. They created liquidity over there. Okay. So if I'm 1602, I'm somewhere right around here. So my new intent would have to be adjusted to there, which would make this still valid. And boy, oh boy. Yeah, because I think I do have that count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. And what did I say for a bearish count? I was calling for a bearish count. So maybe that does go short. because then my PRZ would be from here to here. I mean, my PRZ is really here, don't get me wrong, but I'm just talking about like second chances type of longs. Like if I'm going to be bullish, like that's pretty darn bullish. And I think that kind of lines up with, no, it doesn't line up, because I believe we're from here to here in our break. Oh damn, it does put us pretty darn close. Yeah, that would be the full measured move for that. Yeah, that's your best case scenario for bullish. Yeah, reshort this area. And then get your push into this. That'll probably be where the majority of the money is made. There you are. A very large C that just never completes until we get to there. Because damn, you could have called that for a 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, and then you're literally inside of 3. That's one way to look at that. That's one way of looking at that. And we're inside of 3. And definitely 3 is not going to be here. And then that would open up the door for this to be a zigzag. Very possible, because we got something very similar on River. All right, look how large. There's this. It's this yellow one right here. It's extremely huge ABC right there. So it's definitely possible. And I'm on a 610 here. You can see it on a 4-hour. I'm just looking at unique time frames because I just want to get a little bit more data that's clustered versus kind of spread out. Bro, I trust the River as far as I can throw it on these moves right now. And how would that fit into it? Going A, B, A. See that from a harmonic perspective, that don't really work. That doesn't jive. That it only makes it this valid. I can't really find a pattern that follows there. I can only find bearish from there. Well, that worked, but I don't like that. The only way that's possible is if this wasn't done. And I'm still inside of 1. And then I can get a 2 here. 645. Let's look at some zones. 610. Let's look at some zones. What did we say? 1602 area, right? That's like right over here. See, I'm looking at this right here. And also the top of this right here. Great inducement. Bounce off that. Yeah, I could see that. What was the first level on that again? 1715. I think I have 1709 that sits in there. Yeah. So let's bring you down just a smidge. Let's bring you to 15. Yeah, same difference. Get the idea. Still a bit too wide though. I probably need to adjust you. There you would make sense for a Navarro. That would make sense for a Navarro. And it's really not that one, it's this one right here. If I go deeper, still fits. Still fits. If I go wider and deeper, still fits, still fits, still fits. Okay. So my pivot point, as far as what I'm designing here, it does make sense. We just don't have a pivot point here just yet. We need one there. We need to revisit here, probably get like double top inside that area. And then we can move into here. What does that put us at? Geez, that means all of August is pretty much going to chop. So the July would have been the confirmation month. August through September is to confirm that with an actual true retest, because July, all July did was basically just give us a move up. We didn't have any type of retest inside these zones. So all of these levels are retest levels. So it's like a confirmation of the confirmation, if that makes any sense. Yeah, I'll share this inside the server just so we can track it for future reference later. I'll leave the fib zones on. I know it's a little messy, but I know how to navigate through it. Which this setup here would just feed into this larger one that's over here. But this is the one that I want to focus on right now. I think somebody would get confused by that. So let me just do it like this. Damn, what did I say earlier? It was 1715, right? Yeah, look, that's a 618. And there's a 1714 that lines right up with that. Yeah, buddy. Yeah, I'm not going to touch the 1807. I get a weak pivot there. And then this would need to be a PRZ. This sits over here. Yeah, 1602 would have to be the low that holds. Yep. I'll drop this in the server for you guys. Okay. All right, so that's marked out for you guys. That's inside the server for you, buddy. Rejecting off wave B. There it is. Let's see if I can find the same thing for BTC. Actually, what I really need to look for is something similar on USDT. 610 is really not the most ideal. Yeah, that's difficult, man, because I'm moving sideways and the data sucks on unique time frames, so I just gotta go daily. So under that assumption, that's saying USDT would come back into, let's say maybe these areas right here, make its way back down to these levels, and then push back into this. The issue, which would invalidate, is if USDT keeps going. That would destroy ETH. So I think we're going to continue to chop on USDT like this in this area. We'll be here for a little while. Let's, do I have a zone on that? I'm in a chop zone now, so this probably won't happen for some time. Just based on that chop. Ugh, and look at that trend line too, man. This trend line that's been holding forever and a day. Damn, that kind of lines up just perfect with that. I didn't even do that intentionally. It just lines up perfectly with that. So compression zone, hold. Yeah, that would suck. That would definitely suck. I think best case scenario is you're going to get a short that's going to be able to print at the 1960s again. You'll get one of those. But who knows? I mean, this might start to retrace down like this while USDT is pushing up higher. But we'll get a very strong divergence, you know, with USDT pushing higher and ETH holding its area. Then yeah, because I've seen that before, where USDT or ETH, you know, vice versa. USDT is like stagnant, but ETH is like pushing higher. We actually saw that right over here, in this level right over here. ETH pushed higher, 1960s in that area, but USDT was just holding its ground. So that was just telling me like all of this right here, this was just exit pumps inside these zones, right? Bear trap right there, boom, push up. They did it twice. They did it twice. Once here and again here. And now they're trying to do it. They try to do it again here, but I think that's inducement. Man, that broke right against wave B. Yeah, it's trying to flip this zone, bro. Interesting. Bump and run reversal? Maybe? I mean, don't have enough bumps. You got a couple bumps. I can't really constitute as bump, but I definitely have bumps here, and I definitely have bumps here. Could see that bump and run reversal pattern. It just needs to create another frying pan. That would be a bump around reversal. Does that elongate too? I think I can get a little bit further on that. No. Yeah, see, it don't work that way. I mean, you've got if you want to look at it as far as like false breakout here, yeah, you can look at it that way too. And where's this from? Multi-money, yeah. Yeah, I can look at it that way. What do I have here? I really don't have anything here. There's that. Wicked body. I'm doing it kind of in reverse. Wick the body. So that opens that up for here. Then that would be a sweep. This right here. Look at that. Oh, it lines up perfect with that. Excuse me. If it happens over here, it goes back from like right here. It's my 82. So that's a very small range, by the way. Look at that. It's tiny. For a session, it's tiny, man. 62.9, it's 400 pip. Range, it's tiny. I never trust small ranges like that. Give me a quick second, guys. I'm gonna step away here, use the restroom real quick. I'll be right back. Oh, alright, I'm back, guys. Sorry about that. Couple with that, I also want to see a cooldown, right? I want to see the cooldown very similar to what we saw over here in these areas. Mind you, a cooldown can can be extended, right? The cooldown began here and didn't complete until it was like what, 1503 from 2130, basically a 600 pip move. But my point being is I would want to see a cooldown first before, you know, long's gonna make sense. So maybe we get a cooldown, we run hot again, and then we can move down again. Bless? Yeah, I could look at Bless. That's going to be revisited. be shocked if it goes all the way that far. Look at more of these levels in here. It's 95. 88 theoretically makes sense, but if we're looking at a 2, then you really want to see this, because then it holds all this level right over here. So a higher low. I'm gonna go like 95. And I'd really want to see that swept. You get a breakout here. That's going to be the real test, because this was a short-term support area here. So come back and retest that. Getting back into here. Retest that resistance, but also sweeps here. So let's just give it the benefit of the doubt. Let's say here. That's kind of what I would look for. Yes, I'm setting my stop loss in the most obvious area. Yes, because I'm in price discovery from an all-time low perspective, so I have no idea where we go. So my stop loss would be in the most obvious area. I'll set an alarm for that. I'll set another alarm for the 88 too. Maybe it's a little bit both, that's fine. You know, and if I'm going to short it, and if you're looking for shorts, then the most obvious area is here, sweeping that. Why does it default to such a ridiculous amount? That's how I do it. I might take it myself. I'll put this in the playback section for us, so you have it. I'll add it to the list, to the watch list, just so we can have it for easier reference. Struggling against that wave B. No doubt. You're very welcome. You're very welcome. You know, it's crazy. It's like all the setups are coming on the weekends, and then Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, it's usually like range or sideways movement, and then Thursday, Friday, it actually like goes in the direction that we anticipated on the weekend. It's just something I'm observing. I'm not saying that that's always the case. It's just something I've been observing. About 8 minutes left on this one for river. Yeah, that could be our one. This might be the subwave one though, not the larger one. Shall see. Shakeout. It's on 610. That party looks like it's just getting started. It's on 610. That's daily. Wait, 1, 2, 3. Okay, yeah. So you got to close above here on the daily, which was a resistance area. Okay. So USDT needs to reclaim that. Then reclaims that, then it's going to go a little bit higher. If it loses that, then it'll go lower, and ETH will go higher. Volatility right there, and we've got a small shakeout right there. You didn't even test that, bro. Is that 1805? Yeah, that's 1805. Yeah, there's gonna be some inducement at 1805. I promise you that. Because that's where the setup phase changes. So losing 1805, we go down deeper. which is this level right here. So lose that, we come into these zones. I mean, I could be wrong about my wave B over here, my pivot. Could always be wrong about that. Yeah, I pivot here. It's always an option. We just gotta look for signs of weakness on that. Because if this DI negative holds its ground and starts picking up strength, right? There's no bullish momentum that's occurring right now, even where it's at current, where price action is right now. There's a little bit of loss of momentum from the bear side. Yes, there is. Let's see, a DI negative went higher and did not go lower. So you have some deviation that sits right there. That kind of points towards ADX making its way like this, and DI negative holding its ground here. If we get this crossover like this on the ADX and the DI negative, then like I said, that party is just getting started. This is a lagging indicator, so we gotta wait for price action to develop first. Just pointing out like what could occur here. Volatility, you got some strength, no sell. That's a 1 hour though, see? Let's go to a 4 hour. Loss of strength. Bro, look at this RSI. Look at this money flow. Look where it went to. Look at that. See, I think it went lower, right? Yeah, it went lower. You got deviation right there too. Got bullish deviation on that. Yeah, you can see it printed right here. So you got the deviation right there too. Let's see if that holds. This just got started. There's 3 hours left inside of it. Maybe we can stretch a little bit higher. Let's go back to that 1 hour. That's kind of where I'm charting it from. So if I'm in the next 3 hours, might I shave bottom here? Yeah, I'm gonna shave bottom right there. But I think down to the decimal, because I think they round up. Because I don't think I did print it. Okay, cool. So I got a shave bottom that sits right there. I want to see how that clears. You had a fair value gap that was cleared as well too. It got inversed inside this area. So maybe you get a little drop. A little drop to clear that. Maybe retesting that one more time. And then it can move higher. Yeah, because I got a nice fair value gap that sits right here. I got a nice TP that sits here too. Look at the size of this one over here, bro. This thing is gargantuan. Can you imagine that? It just goes. I think everybody would be very happy, at least those that longed it. Beat is arriving at daily. Let's take a look. It's the only one that hasn't been cleared, 1.756. This one right here. Let me double check that. Yeah, no, it wasn't cleared. It got close to it. There's a lot going on right over here. I'll wait till the 1.7s. I'll set some alarms in that area. I'll wait for that. So technically we got a shooting star on this, but where it's located is kind of like hogwash. There's some imbalance here. I think there's an imbalance. Yeah, there's an imbalance that sits here as well too. 2605. So maybe we get a nice little clear of this area and then we can move up. 2.64, 2.614. I'll take that. I'll take that. All right. And we get a clear here. Come on. We already got one clear on the first candle that just opened here. I think we got, what, 3 more hours? Yeah, 3 more hours. What's the TD9 say on this? Yeah, so 1, 2, 3, 4. It's a confirmation level, so maybe it wants to test that. I'd be surprised if it did, though. All right. That's just about cleared. Push down a little bit more, please. I mean, is that lower? No. There we go. Come on. A little bit lower. That looks lower. I don't think TradingView is reading it to like the finer decimals. What? Oh, come on. Create some balance for us, please. Create some balance for us. Oh, okay. Or not. This is my third setup on River. My first two, they started to print, but then they became invalidated. So the TPs had to be aggressive on that one. This is my third setup on it. I'm looking to treat it as a swing, just as an FYI. That's why I keep monitoring it. ETH, I'm just waiting for it. I need these levels to start showing their face. Yeah, that works. Who are you? It's 1788. I really don't need 1788. Yeah, 1717 works for me. And then who are you? I'll bring you down to here. That's more ideal. And then this alarm, what are you? 1909, you're a wave B, I already know that. And 1973, I'm gonna bring you down to 60. What did I have this at? 67, pretty close. 66 right before it, so that's fine. So I'll work with those. Did anybody actually take the entry for River though? I don't think many people did. I think maybe Scissors might have been the only person if he took it. Just a quick heads up, if you're coming in from the stream to our server, welcome. Thank you for joining and thank you for being here. If you're looking for access to the additional channels inside the server, just follow the verification protocol. You'll find that in the choose your exchange channel. Once you set all that up, literally access is granted right away. So you'll receive what's called the Citadel access role, and then you'll be able to see all the channels that are in there. You don't need both exchanges. You can choose one or the other. It's totally up to you. Once you do join the verification server, just reminder, you have to stay inside that server because the bot is constantly going to be verifying individuals. So if you leave that server, the verification server, then it removes your role from the main server, which is Liquidity Citadel. Just a heads up in case there's any confusion or if you're wondering how that works. Oh boy. Yeah, overall market's pretty much just stagnant, to be honest with you. That's why you got to kind of like look for other alts to offset some of that stagnation, for lack of better terminology. there's an easy way to find them. If you go over to our site, the liquidityczitadel.trade, the invite for the servers. Okay, I'll update it here. I'll throw it in here for you guys. Yeah, I'll pop it in here for you guys. There you go. I'll update it for you guys on the next stream inside the description section. But what I was saying was, if you're looking for additional coins, things that you want to trade, right on our site, we have an entire section that's dedicated for that. Just come over to the scanner section. And there's a couple here that are already listed, right? Like you can see the setups, things like that. Like you just click on one of them. It's going to ask you for access. So like if you want full breakdown of it, you just hit continue with Discord. So if you're inside of our server, and you come right back to it. Now everything's unlocked for you. So if you want to open something up, you can see the full breakdown that's inside of these. The way that I've designed this, I designed it to pick up trades that are like, there's a grade scale for it. There's lower ends like 65s, and then you have higher ends that are like 80s and 90s. I typically look for the 70s plus, and it just kind of gives me an idea as far as which ones I want to start mapping out. So like, you know, APR is showing me a short at a 74. That's decent. And there's a ton that are in here. Some older ones. So if you come across something that's been on your For You page for like Twitter or TikTok or Instagram, whatever, any one of those sites is, you know, something that's picking up a lot of traction, you can look for it that way too. Look at where the breakdown is. You can do the full report. It'll kind of give you analysis as to why it triggered into those areas. That's a B score right now. So as a matter of fact, let's go and see if we can find APR. I'm wondering if it will pick it up inside of the terminal. Yeah, it's not picking up through Binance, which is fine. Just find it on a different exchange. Is it the same thing though? Okay, so it's just spot. Jeez Louise, that thing tanked. That's a 1 hour. That's a 1 minute, excuse me. Okay. We've got some shaped bottoms there too. Mind you, that's spot. What does daily look like? Yeah, see, they got a very thin liquidity that sits here and sits inside this area. Okay. Link? What's Link doing? Yeah, I might come back to that. 5.4. That went to 5.4. Oh, wrong one. That's all I wanted. Oh, so you got some room in you, huh? This is 5.4, so that puts me right over here. That kind of makes sense. That's incredibly risky. Yeah, I might end up actually taking that, to be honest with you. I'll probably get even deeper than that. I'll probably get something that's somewhere around here, which would be ideal. But the whole point behind that is, like, you can come right over to the site, identify a couple different coins that are out there, some that you've never heard of that have the momentum. They have the break of structures, they have change of characters, they have the volume, there's liquidity sweeps, there's alignment on 1 hour, 4 hour, 5 minute, 15 minute. Like, the scanner's going to read all of that for you without you having to do the due diligence of that. The only part that is your due diligence is that you want to make sure that the entry point makes sense for you. So what I would recommend is going to a lower time frame, like a 3 minute, maybe even a 5 minute, and looking for that execution. So if you have your bias that's already put out there for you, so essentially for APR, it's calling for short, it's calling for bearish trend that's going to start picking up. Okay, cool. So I have bearish trend. Where's my entry point going to be from on a lower time frame? What can be swept that's going to give me an entry? So if I come over to like a 1 minute, feels like brain cancer. Let's just go to like a 3 minute. So to be quite honest with you, I kind of like something like this. That's kind of what I look for. Right. This is a little bit more risky. So now I'm just kind of focusing on execution. Maybe looking to execute somewhere inside here. I'd run a tighter stop loss here. Yes, it's in the most obvious area. The short would go down. The TPs I really don't want to focus on this example as far as what I'm explaining. That'd be my next entry. It's calling for 5.4. I think it's going to go deeper than 5.4, to be honest with you, but it's a good RR. So I'd be looking for something like that. So just a quick example, letting you guys know that you can find a whole bunch of different types of coins that are out there and trading opportunities that are out there. You don't have to just stick to your, your ETH and BTC. or Sol or any one of those large caps or even mid cap type of alts. You can look at some fast runners. That's how I found Clo. That's actually Boy put me onto Beat. That's how I found Beat. But like Clo, I picked up from the scanner. Zora, I picked up from the scanner. STG from the scanner. Orca. BCH no, Velvet no, Wild no, Sui no, Zama came from there, ARM came from there, LDO came from there, Chorus came from there. These are all coins that I've got in and got out, got in, got out. Sape is another one. I didn't trade Sape. Light is another one. I never got entry on that one. So there's like several different coins where I'm just like, all right, well, ETH and BTC that are really not doing anything, or I'm already positioned, and instead of me like just sitting there watching the charts, I'm like, all right, come on, do something. I can go and start hunting for other positions that I can get in and get out, and really just treat them like intradays per se. So just more tools for you guys, something that you can benefit from being part of our community. It's 100% free. Nothing that's charged for you in regards to utilizing it. Hey, look at that. Gus shorted it. That's what's up. He traded Bless. That's what's up. That's what's up. Yeah. Nice move, Gus. Nice move. Nice move. Proof is in the pudding. Proof is in the pudding. I mean, that's really how these streams are designed. It's designed to educate people that are trying to get better at trading or looking for better opportunities that are out there, or just basically want to trade with somebody so that way they're like not by themselves or in the woods by themselves. And we'll come across a whole bunch of them. You know, you put some ideas up there, some coins that you want me to look at, I'll review them. I'll give you my analysis, and I could be wrong. You could fade it. You could do the opposite. But the point to that is that you're not alone. You're not alone. And that's really how our community is designed. Help the next trader. I'm really curious to see what River does at 2.489. That's right over in this area, right here, right in this area. Because we got a downtrend, and I want to see if it actually rejects off of that or if it acts as a point of liquidity. Oh shoot! If I do it from there, where did I have that from? Oh, that's on a 4-hour. Let me fix that. I have another chart in front of me. Sorry, I was probably like, what the heck is he talking about? I have a different chart in front of me. And you derive from here, no? 2.6? Are you 2.6? You're 2.8. Where's my 2.6? You're right here. Here you are. There you are. There you are. I go wick to body. Body. There it is. And that 4 hours still has a shaved bottom, just as an FYI. So here's what I'm getting at. Like, I'm not going to open up a short. I would probably most likely just look at TPs because I'm probably going to come back to this area. But if we start rejecting off of here, it's just stuck inside of that trend. Let's open up some EMAs on that. Yeah, look at that. You just happen to have an EMA that sits right there. And I think that's a fast one. Yeah, that's a 21 that sits right there. It's using the fast 9 as a support right now. It's on a 4 hour. My 200 sits here. Or I'll do a backflip if it went to there. I do a straight up backflip. EMA still read the same when I move it to minimal. I'm just focusing on the EMAs that are most relevant. So like if we break out of this area, then this is going to start lighting up. This will start lighting up. These will start graying out. But there's just different ways that you can customize it here. If anybody's ever curious, I'm like, hey, how do I use that indicator? There's going to be a flurry of indicators you guys are going to have access to. The ones that stuck around during the reboot and that are part of that reboot process. You guys are going to have access to some of these indicators that I utilize. There's a whole bunch of them, just as an FYI, guys. There's Liquidity Suite, Citadel, there's the sessions, there's a TD9 map, so you guys are going to have some access to some of those things. But let's get through this first, right? Let's get through these moves. So if I go here, you know, sometimes that magnet, they should make this a hotkey, I swear. I don't know why they don't make it a hotkey. What's up? Yeah. So let's adjust this. Let's move this up to the 2.489 area. A little bit higher, I know. Let's just make the assumption we're here. That puts us at a 76. 2.389 is still going to be on the table there. That's basically just revisiting. That's just making the assumption that that was a wave one. And that's on a lower time frame. So I'd be looking at this like as a subwave, right? So 1, 2, and then you have your 3, and your 4, and then your 5. And then for me, the way that I'm looking at this, on a higher time frame, all of this would be a 1, and then we'd see a 2, and then so forth and so on, rinse and repeat. Let's see, we keep breaking against this wave B. We're starting to see signs of weakness here already on the wave B. We never actually cleared this shave bottom. On a 4 hour, we still have a shave bottom as well too. So it's just something to shed some light on. I would definitely be open to shorting wherever that wave 1 peak is at, which we have designed from over here. Right. Like that would be ideal, but like the shorter version of that would be 0.5. So making the assumption that we get to the zone, that's measured from this pivot to this pivot. So it's all of this internal structure. That's what I'm really looking at. I'm looking at the resistance level. So this level, the 0.5, this is extremely bearish. All right, rule of thumb is if price action is breaking against a 0.5 fib level and it can't break above it, that's very bearish. And then the opposite is true. If you're bouncing off of a 0.5 and it can't break below a 0.5, then that's very bullish. In this particular case, we're measuring resistance, so this would be extremely bearish if it goes here. So I'll make my adjustments, you know, to wave 1 and wave 2s and 3s and 4s and all that jazz. But if we can, you know, clear roughly 80% of this move, we're still inside that internal structure, and then we'd look for that downslide. I would definitely look to short that, come back into these areas right over here, and then re-long it, and then just don't touch it until wave 3 is complete. That's a decent candle formation. I mean, you have a bearish engulfing here. You have several bearish engulfings, to be quite honest with you. You got a bullish engulfing here, but that's already on an uptrend, so I really don't give that much favor. You got another one right sits right here. You got another one that sits right here. You have another one that sits right here. And right now it's rejecting its decision area right there. Not decision, intent line. It's rejecting its intent line. Alright, give me 1 second, guys. Sorry about that, mates. Let's step away for a second. Yeah, definitely helps with the algorithm. All input definitely helps with the algorithm. Likes, shares, comments. Comments after the video actually helps probably the most on the playbacks. At least from when I was reading analytics. We get some giveaways we're going to be doing as well too. That actually might help with some individuals. And then we're going to restart the 1K, 10K challenge. If you want to do giveaways, it needs to be live and by typing in the chat the keyword true. Yeah, bro, if you want to help me come up with one, just let me know. You just let me know. Put something together. Broke above wave B. Still don't trust that move. Still don't trust that move. Oh, look, Arc Raiders is on sale now. Jeez Louise, Skyrim is now $9.99. Holy cow. Yeah, I'll come back to that. And back below AB. Yeah, that's going to be a tough area for a river to break across in one swoop. Yeah, there it is. It did make a higher high inside the internal structure, yeah, but it's really got to break above this. I really want to see that area. That's my key area. And this could always turn into liquidity real quick. Just gotta look for signs of weakness on that. Yeah, I got you, bro. Yeah. Just shoot some ideas. Is the music at a good volume, or is it too high? I'm trying to find the sweet spot for it. I think this is it, but I could be wrong. Bro, we've been at this 1860, 1880 area for what? 3 days now? Any bit lower? Got you. Bring right there. Hopefully that's okay. Yeah, it's like everything is stalling out here. All around. It's those weekend moves, man. Those weekend moves like really change the landscape. Never flush that area, bro. And why would you build here? Okay, so the imbalance is there. I get that. And then you had imbalance there. Okay, I see that. That does make sense. But now you're creating this and then you're creating that. Yeah, these moves are Saturdays and Sundays. I mean, I wouldn't say it's frustrating, it's just weird, that's all. In the years that I've been trading crypto, the weekends are usually flat. And this year in particular, it's noticeably weird on weekends. Almost makes you want to put on your tinfoil hat and go, okay, where's the conspiracy theory? You know, they had that whole 1030 drop thing that was going on for the earlier part of this year. I think it was 10 a.m. or 10:30 a.m. BTC would just drop. Maybe they changed some of their manipulation tactics and they're doing it on Saturdays and weekends. And creating capitulation during the week where you would anticipate higher trading volume during the week, at least to start the week, and then it's just relatively flat for the first 2 to 3 days. And then as the weekend approaches, it starts to pick up momentum. You still look at, bro, we still have this gap. We still have that gap. Little tiny gap there, but that was already cleared. Little tiny gap there, that was cleared aggressively. Any more gaps? Yeah, every gap has been cleared. Yep. I wouldn't say it's a sideline move. It's one of those that you got to be either aggressive on your TPs or heavily patient with holding. This is where I could be wrong. 1, and then that was my 2. That's a small impulse. Because if that's inside of 3, boy oh boy, Soul's gonna fly. But I'll give the benefit of the doubt. I'm still gonna call for that. One, 2, 3, 4, 5. Get a small little subwave out of that. Get a minuet. Same thing for BTC. I already know about. And then I have ETH over here. Five minutes left on that. How many left? 1 hour. It's 2 hours left on this. Sure, you got a bullish engulfing here. You got a spinning top right here. Okay, so bullish, bullish. This needs to be a confirmation. Maybe I can get down just into that. I'd feel so much more comfortable with this position if I can get that right there to get cleared. Just gotta wait on this guy too. Just gotta wait on this guy. No, that's already gone. So subwave 1, 2. Nope. There's nothing here. It's just sideways movements. Can't do anything on Glow. I don't see anything that's clean. And Glow has that habit of doing that. Look at that. It goes sideways for a little bit and then boom. It's kind of doing the same thing here, but I think that they're manipulating that a little bit. Or a lot of it. That's usually its pattern. See, it went sideways here for a little bit, just like that. This is kind of a good example of that. After I had a deep retrace, it went sideways, edged up, and then sank. Same thing, very similar right here. Edging, and then it might sink. Yeah. Oh boy. All right. That's a good run. It's a decent run. You're starting to move sideways, which is fine. I'm gonna pop into the server, kind of vibe and chill with you guys inside the server. Continue these thoughts and building up as far as the ideas, positions, looking for invalidations. I'll be handling that inside of the server. I thank you guys that were here today. Thank you so much for being here, vibing with me. I enjoy the questions. I enjoy some of the setups. If you're watching the playback, thank you for watching. More streams later on this week. We're going to be streaming again tomorrow and as well on Thursday. Wednesday is usually an off day as far as on YouTube, but we'll be streaming inside of the server on Wednesday. So just look for that if you are inside of the server, and if you're not, the link is inside of this chat. I'll be updating the link inside of this video once it posts, so that way the invite is going to be fresh for you guys. Outside of that, again, I thank you for being here. Be safe for the remainder of the day. Be profitable if you already are profitable. There's no shame in taking a little bit off the top. And outside of that, if no one's told you today, Jesus loves you. I love you. Thank you guys again. I'll catch you soon. Peace.